All right, we are live here in the Dadpreneur Facebook group. We have in our expert series interview Eric Twiggs with us. Welcome to today's live stream, Eric.
Thank you, Adam. Glad to be here.
Let's dive right in. You help with procrastination. Can you tell a little bit? I know you recently published a book. Could you tell a little background about the book and how that came about and working on that and all that?
Yeah, so the book is titled The Discipline of Now, and it's 12 practical principles to overcome procrastination. And so I had a couple of inspirations as far as writing the book. Like read on the topic provide you with like one size fits all cookie cutter answers. Like, don't check your noon and you have to be an early bird, you have to wake up early. So I wanted to provide a tool for someone that's practical, and I've actually designed it so your personality type, your genetics, and your particular situation. So no matter what your situation is, you'll find specific strategies and resources to help you to overcome procrastination.
Okay, great. Yeah, and like we were kind of talking before the call, and I even talked about it in the group, we can all benefit from this. So what are, let's say, 3 tips on how to kind of battle procrastination? Some 3 tips that you recommend?
Well, if you're just looking, I get this question a lot. Like if you're just looking for like a basic thing to stop procrastinating, I would recommend take phone and turning off all of like the alerts, all of the email notifications, the social media notifications. That'll go a long way to stopping you, because as you know, when you're working on a project, it's easy to get lost in your email and social media. Before you know it, you've been procrastinating. Yep. So if you want something quick and basic, it'd be one thing you can do. Something else is to make use of technology. There are some basic apps that you can use that can really help you to overcome procrastination. I'll just quickly go through a couple of them here. So one of my favorites is Hootsuite. That's HOOTESUITE.
Okay.
So if you're in a position where you have to make social media updates, but you want to stay focused, Hootsuite's a great tool because it allows you to schedule your posts in advance, and it keeps you from getting distracted from your main social media stream. It's a great tool, saves you a lot of time. Another tool I like is called the SMS Scheduler. That's the SMS Scheduler.
Okay.
And so that's available whether you have an Android or an iPhone. They got different versions. I love that because you can actually send yourself text message reminders that show up in your text on a regular, reoccurring basis to remind you of those things that you really don't want to do, but you know you need to do. And it gives you that little nudge. So that's a good tool that can really help you to overcome procrastination. And the third one, there's an app that I love. It's called Rescue Time.
Okay. Yep.
And it allows you to measure how much time you're spending on the different social media sites. And when you start to see that you're spending 3 hours a day on Facebook, hey, I have an issue. I need to cut it back. And it also allows you to you can set a timer where you can block yourself from the internet. So you can say, I'm going to give it, after 1 hour, it'll cut you off from internet access and help you to be productive. So those are some but certainly procrastination is a whole lot deeper than what you said.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's funny. Hootsuite, I didn't think of it as procrastination, but you're right. Scheduling your tweets or your Facebook post or whatever it is, all kind of batching them, for the week or whatever you want to do, or for the month, and you're not distracted of logging in. I didn't even think of it like that, to be used like that. I do use Hootsuite, and it probably does save me time that I didn't even really expect, because I'm not distracted by kind of batching them out. And the SMS scheduler, I've not heard of that one. That sounds really neat for those text reminders. motivational
Absolutely.
things like that. Rescue time, I've used it in the past, and it was frightening to see how much time, like you said, when you first start it, it's frightening to see how much time you're wasting or spending on specific websites, and then dialing it back.
Yes.
Um, and then blocking from the
Absolutely.
internet. I didn't even know you could do that. That's pretty neat. That would be very helpful. Just cut off no internet, if you're working on something offline.
Right.
What about scheduling your day? This is kind of something I struggle with. I try to schedule my day, like we talked about before, is to be efficient as possible. Do you have any tips on like to-do lists? We all talk about them sometimes. When I years ago, I used to try to have I used to have 30 things on my to-do list, and then I realized that's way too much. I wasn't getting anything done, and over the last, especially 12 months, it seems like I've when I focus on 3 to 5 things a day, I get more done, and instead of that daunting list of 25 to 30 going, oh, I'm never going to finish.
Right. So here's what I recommend on to-do lists. I recommend is at the end of your workday to make a list have to do the following day. And so that's the first key. And what happens is your subconscious mind goes to work, and you'll find if you do this a lot that you're not as stressed. Because I know for me, I would always at night I'm thinking, okay, I have all these things in my head that I have to do the next day. But when you put it on paper, it gets it out of your head, so you find that you sleep better, you're
Hmm.
less stressed, and then it might be something on your list that you're like perplexed about. Like, I don't know, man, I've got this blog post I want to write. I have no idea what I'm going to write about. But you find you go to sleep and you wake up, all of a sudden the ideas start coming to you. So that's the first thing. I would make the list the night
The
before,
night before.
and
Okay.
then when you wake up, I have something that's called the Twiggs Top Five, because it's
Okay.
really only a small percentage of your activities that contribute to a large percentage of your success.
Okay. Hmm.
That's what you have to think about that. So every day, yeah, I make a list of a lot of different things to do. I may have 10 or 11 things on my list, but I have 5 things that I put a star beside. Those are really the critical things that I don't care what happens. If there's a tornado, power outage, these are the 5 things that
Yep.
have to get done for that particular day.
Okay.
And I prioritize my time. And here's the thing. The other thing is, if there are other things on your list that you don't get done, don't beat yourself up over it. You can certainly carry it over to the following day. But I
Okay.
tell you what, making the list, and something else what works for me is I take a 3x5 card and I keep it. Like if I have a business shirt on, I keep that in my shirt pocket. I love it right there in the palm of my hand. Things I've got to do, and you get that adrenaline rush as you're crossing things off of
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
to-do list. So those are my recommendations as it relates to scheduling your day.
Okay. What about like goal setting? It's kind of somewhat related. I'm trying to think of efficiency and getting things done, basically. I like to set kind of 12-week goals. What
Yes.
about you? Do you have yearly goals? Do you have daily, weekly? I think I should be breaking mine down into daily, weekly, something I don't do. What is kind of your take on
I'm a
goal setting?
huge. That's a great question. I'm a huge fan of the 90-day goals because
Cool.
it's long enough, it's far enough out, but it's still short enough that you can still keep focus on it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because like I've years ago, I used to have people set like 12-month goals, but I
Hmm.
found like when we got to
Yep.
April, May, we're not even talking about the goals anymore, and they
Yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah.
even tell you what their goals were
Yep.
for
Yep.
the end of the year. So I would recommend setting those 12 the I'm sorry 90-day goals, and then really you're kind of reverse engineering. So
Okay.
your goals you're setting every day are ultimately getting you to those 90-day goals. And so the way I like to do goal setting is I call it back to the future.
Hmm.
So you hop
Okay.
in your DeLorean and you say, you know what? So what's today? Today is August the 9th. So today is November the 9th. And you know what? This has been the greatest quarter ever in my life because I've accomplished boop, boop, boop. I've got X and X in sales. I've got what are those specific things? So I think when you can kind of put yourself in the future, that helps you to really get clear on what your goals are. And then now, every day when you're doing your to-do list, it's leading you to that goal.
Okay. Okay. How do you structure? We'll go back to the days here. How do you structure? I guess I'm trying to, like I said, maximum efficiency for the day. Working in kind of chunks of hours. Maybe a 1 hour window, 2 hour window. I know a lot of people. I try. I'm not that good at it. I try to do the 25-minute on, 5-minute break. A little walk around, go get maybe a glass of water. Stretch. For those 5 minutes, and then again, I'm not perfect with this. This is what I try to do, that 25 and 5 thing. Um, do you have kind of like chunks of the 2 hours you work from 10 to 12, you're doing this, or kind of how's the day structured, I guess?
Well, I think it really all depends on exactly what you have going on. So a lot of my days, I'm calling, I may be calling clients, and
Hmm.
I may have a specific schedule where I'm talking to people. But I would say, I would prioritize kind of based off of the most important thing that you need to get done that's going to move you forward. I think that's really how you should prioritize. And then for me, like if like writing blogs are very important to me,
Hmm.
and that's something I can write a blog post one time and it can be helping people for months and months at a time.
Yep.
So that's something I'm going to prioritize. So I'll take like a half-hour block and dedicate it solely to working on that post with zero distractions. And so if I'm in an area where there's people around and what have you, I put the word out that look, I'm not to be disturbed for this half-hour block. And what may help too is get yourself like a kitchen timer, because now you're putting the pressure of kind of the deadline and it forces you to be productive. But for me, like half-hour blocks at one time help me, and then I'll take like a 15-minute or so break.
Okay.
But I do think having the breaks are important. But I think if you prioritize by those things that are most critical to your success and are going to move you forward, and then block your time off accordingly, that's the key.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Do you have a specific? I know you mentioned the blog post. Let's say if you have a goal of let's just say once a week, you have a set day that you write. Every Tuesday from 10 to 11. Let's say I'm sitting down to write a blog post, or is it kind of whenever kind of the thought comes to your head? Hey, I got it in my head. I'm gonna start writing it out now, whether that's on a piece of
Now,
paper, computer.
that I'm very structured with that, and I
Okay.
think what from my experience, that structure really helps your subconscious mind to kick in,
Okay.
because your mind knows, okay, because he's doing this in this order, it's time for us to start coming up with some ideas.
Hmm.
So, for example, like Thursdays is kind of the day I start thinking about what I'm going to write. And so, like, even like if I'm driving around that
Hmm.
morning, I
Hmm.
don't have the radio on.
Yep.
I'm just kind of really just thinking. And a lot of times, the title and the content of what I'm going to write just kind of comes to me as I'm driving.
Okay.
And then so like Friday morning is really when I dedicate to writing the blog. But here's the other thing too. So I don't write and edit at the same time, because that's what causes procrastination,
Okay.
because
Okay.
you have this whole perfection thing going,
Hmm.
and
Hmm. Yep.
you're trying to write, and so the key is just to get your ideas out. So that I'm getting my ideas. So Friday I'm getting my ideas out. I'm getting them on paper. I'm getting them on paper, and then so the published date for me a lot of times is on that following Monday. So
Okay. Okay.
Thursday I've kind of had this brainstorming session with myself. Friday I've gotten all my ideas out, got it on paper, and then Monday, and the advantage of doing it that way, now I'm looking at it again, almost like with a fresh set of eyes,
Yep.
and so now I can be in edit mode. And I find this is what works for me, and I've talked to other writers that agree, and most writers that I know that write a lot, for example, they have a routine. They
Hmm.
get up at a
Hmm.
certain time. They sit
Hmm.
down in a certain chair. And I think that routine will help you to stay focused and disciplined.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I am not the best at with. I like how you said you write and edit at different times. That's something I try to kind of do it in all one shot,
Right?
But I like how you said to separate the two. Yeah, because it's like I sit down to write a blog post, and I don't have it structured wise. I like how you said the subconscious though. Every Thursday, you're thinking of the title, you're driving around with no radio on, and you're coming up with the ideas. Mine's kind of whenever I have it in my head, I write out a blog post. That might be two in a week, and that might not be one for 2 weeks, Um, but I like the structure part where you have specific days that you publish it, that you write it, that you edit it. I'm gonna have to fine tune some things.
And so hopefully you're doing this too. So as the ideas are coming to you, you've got a system to record your ideas. So like there's something else I use is Evernote. That's another app. And
Okay.
so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not my writing day, it's not my thinking day, but I get an idea for a blog post. I
Okay.
say, oh man, this would be great. I
Yeah.
have to note it down right then and there, and then I can kind of come back to it when I come to sit down, when I go to sit down to write.
Okay. And see, that's the thing is I have one. It's called Workflowy. It's somewhat similar, I would say, to Evernote. Um, that I kind of jot down ideas. But what I've found in the past is I'll jot down an idea, a couple ideas maybe, and then a week from now I'm kind of like, that's kind of why it's almost I have to strike while the iron's hot. I have this idea in my head. Hey, I'm going to sit down and jot out a blog post. Sometimes when I come back to them, I don't have that fire in me
Right,
that I
right.
had the week before, the 2 weeks
Yeah.
before. Same with emails. I'll come up with an email, I'll jot it down on my phone, and then a week later, I'm going, I, I don't know what to write now. So, um, but yeah, I kind of do use an app similar to Evernote.
Okay, good.
For
Good.
that to kind of jot down the ideas because as the ideas are flying in and out. Let's go right into that. Ideas where writer's block. You mentioned blogging. I'm a big fan of blogging. I'm a big fan of writing emails. There are days that I open up the computer though and I don't have an idea, to send out an email, to send out to write a blog post. So writer's block, or how do you generate, I guess, ideas for content, even whether it's a video?
Well, so it's a couple of things. I have a habit like early in the mornings of just really getting quiet.
Okay.
I just
Hmm.
spend like I just kind of have my morning kind of meditation
Yep.
time,
Yep.
and that really helps me with ideas and just things just come to mind. And then the other thing is my antenna is always up, and I don't care if I'm going to Starbucks
Hmm.
getting
Hmm.
my latte.
Yep.
There's something. Sometimes it's a conversation I'm having with the barista that
Hmm.
can end up in a blog post.
Yep. Yep.
So that's something else. There's all everything is material,
Yep.
and I think if you approach life like everything is material, you'll experience a lot less of that thing, that writer's block. And like I was at a conference one time, and it was a writing conference, and so they had you do a free flowing exercise. So they said for the next 10 minutes, you just have to write. Just write whatever comes to mind. You can't edit. You can't just write.
I see.
And literally, I mean, I was amazed at what I produced, just
Okay.
because I just sat there and just yeah. So it kind of goes back to you have a lot of ideas. There's a lot of things that are conversations you're having with people and the
Hmm.
common problems people are having. Just really just kind of being aware of it, having a system to jot it down, and you should have a lot less writer's block. And again, don't forget the routine. I think a key is having that set routine. Again, that kicks your subconscious mind into gear, and you'll find you have more ideas.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I do every day. So I wake up every morning at 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, and so it's such a habit that like I don't need an alarm clock to do it anymore. So I wake up at 4 o'clock and I start like the first half hour or so. I'm in meditation. Um, well, I may actually start off by like reading something like really inspirational for a few minutes, but then I'm in meditation, and then after I'm in meditation, then I run. So I'll go out and I run for 15 minutes, which usually I end up doing like about a mile and a half or so. And yeah, definitely, I think as you get moving, that's another thing that gets the ideas going when you're running and you're moving and your energy's going. So that's a big part. So I mean, that's kind of my basic set routine. But it's to the point. So like even if I'm like on vacation, I still follow that. I don't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but I still follow that routine. You know, read something inspirational, meditation, exercise. So I just think that that just really helps with the ideas. But yeah, every most successful people that I know have some type of morning routine. Yes. Yeah, I have young kids as well. So that was one of the motivations for for my 4 o'clock routine because once they wake up, it's daddy time. Yeah. Yeah. So the big thing is don't allow perfect to become the enemy of progress. That's a huge thing to keep in mind. There's a lot of different reasons that we procrastinate, and I talk about this in the book. But perfectionism is huge. Perfectionism will keep us from wanting to delegate. Like, no, this isn't perfect enough. But sometimes, like Sheryl Sandberg said, done is better than perfect. That's why we were talking earlier. I told you it took me 6 years to write a book about overcoming procrastination. I think part of it was because, again, I was dealing with that whole perfectionism thing. So that's a big thing that if you're watching, please don't allow perfect to become the enemy of progress. It's course correcting, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So the best destination is ericmtwiggs.com. That's ERIC Twiggs, TWIGGS.com. And then you can actually click on the actual page for the book. It's / The Discipline of Now. And you can actually get right to the book on the website. It's thedisciplineofnow.com. And again, you'll see a picture of the book. It looks just like this. If you did order a paperback copy, I would sign it for you and ship it to you. But definitely that's the best way to get a hold of me. Visit me on my website. You can also email me at eric@ericmtwiggs.com as well. Hey, great minds think alike, Adam. Hey, I won't hold that against you, Adam. All right. Been painful. Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.